This was such a beautiful way to cope with death. Hello everyone, I'm author R.L. Raintree. This is Reels and Reads, where I give honest reviews and occasional spoilers. No, you're not imagining things. This is my second review of the day. I went through a lot of books in the month of June when it came to advanced readers. And speaking of advanced readers, I'd like to thank Avid Press and Simon & Schuster for advanced copy of Everything Was Beautiful and Nothing Hurt by Ben Reeves. In Everything Was Beautiful and Nothing Hurt, we have Travis, who is death, and he is very kind, compassionate, and gentle, and his main focus is on the end of everyone's life, making it as peaceful and as smooth as he can possibly make it, until he meets someone that makes him value life as much as death. This book is filled with individual stories, but it's one whole story. It's not like an anthology. It's one novel, but there are individual stories pertaining to each character, each person who is about to be, shall we say, dearly departed. And we get to find out everything that happened in their life in just a couple of pages as to what type of person they were, what type of life they lived, if they're going to die with regrets and without regrets. Some of those deaths were heartbreaking, and some of those deaths brought me peace, knowing that they had lived a good life, and that was enough. But at the same time, with all its positive sentiment and its poetic language and its poetic scenes, this book just felt like it was unfinished. Some of these stories were more in-depth than others, and therefore they were more moving. But other stories had great potential to be just as moving if more time and care had been taken to tell those stories. And that was why I say that this book kind of feels unfinished. Some of them were just unnecessary, some of the individual people stories. In fact, there were too many stories to get enough depth out of the best ones. I would have liked to see the author narrow down the people stories, or the soon-to-be dearly departed stories that mattered the most, and given us more information, more depth, and more time with those characters than tossing in a bunch of different characters showing us all the different ways they passed on. I'm not sure if the author was like on a deadline or something and just wasn't able to devote that much time, but that's the way it felt. Not accusing the author of that at all. I'm just saying it felt like someone had a deadline and they didn't get enough time to fully develop those characters, fully develop those stories. And that was so crucial to this story, the way it started out, the way it's been presented to us. With death being so gentle and compassionate and each story being almost poetic, we really needed to spend more time with the most moving of stories, and we just didn't get that. There are storylines that sort of just jumped in and ended sort of abruptly, and the most important storyline came at almost the very end. It truly did feel like this was a first draft rather than a completed work. Even with this feeling incomplete, there is definitely something that you could get from this novel. If you are like me and you have issues with thanatophobia or thanatophobia, depending on how you like to pronounce it, this can actually help you cope with that a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to cure it, but it does actually help quite a bit. I was concerned about reading this novel because of my fear of death. It's an overwhelming fear that causes anxiety attacks. But this felt so gentle. This made me find the value in my own life instead of focusing more on the end of life, which is what triggers the phobia. Thinking about how your life was lived, enjoying every minute of it, and going in peace at the end of it. Like Nina Simone said, sleep in peace when day is done. If I can do that, then I've lived a good life. At least that's for me. So I do think that this is a great novel in the making. I do think that even with me feeling that it was incomplete, it does offer that sweetness, that compassion, that gentleness, that softness, that self-reflection that we all need sometimes. It forces you to slow down, take a breath, and enjoy things. Enjoy the little things, and if you're not enjoying things, figure out what small changes you can make to live a happier, more complete life. This book is definitely worth the time. It's worth the read. I just need more from this author. Now, once again, I have to remind you guys that I got an advanced copy. So although this book came out today, July 6th, that doesn't mean that that's the copy that you're going to get. It could have been completely overhauled by the time it was released. I did get it at least a month ago. So at least on the advanced copy that I got, it felt like a first draft that wasn't complete. But then again, by the time you all pick it up, it may be perfect. So I really do urge you to read it anyway, so that you can see a different way that death is portrayed, in a way that I'm not used to seeing death being portrayed. It was definitely refreshing to see a change in the personification of death himself. Despite all that, I cannot rescue the rating for this novel. Again, it felt unfinished. It felt shallow because the story didn't go deep enough, as I said before. However, if I were to go to a library or a bookstore and grab a copy off the shelves today, and I found that it was more complete, more deeply developed, it could easily be a 5-star read. Again, there's so much potential there that it just didn't live up to. I hated to give a book with this much potential 2 stars, but there's a difference between potential and what's actually written on the page. Let me know what your phobia is and what book have you read to help cope with that, or may have made it worse. Drop the title in the comments, and yes, my cat is hopping across the table. He does not care that I'm recording. Anyways, I am author R.L. Raintree. This has been Reels and Reads. Please be sure to subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.